Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Apocalypse Movies. This is our Star Wars canon connections, where we talk about stuff that connect to the canon stuff in Star Wars, whether it be books, comics, TV shows, whatever it may be. I'm Jacob Bartley. This is Jake Berlin.
Jake Berlin, yes.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about Leia, Princess of Alderaan. I guess the official title is something, The Path to the Last Jedi or something.
Yeah, I think The Journey to the Last Jedi.
Journey to the Last Jedi. Star Wars Princess Leia of Alderaan. Long title.
Unabridged, like all this
I know,
stuff,
right?
yeah.
But I just like to call it Leia, Princess of Alderaan.
I think Princess of Alderaan really works
even
best.
that too, yeah. But a lot of people just call it the Young Leia novel or whatever. And this is written by Claudia Gray, arguably the best writer in Star Wars right now.
She is the best writer.
I would say
she
right
is the
now.
best writer in Star Wars.
Like currently right now. Maybe not of all time. We'll wait and see on that. But right now she currently is with Lost Stars and Bloodline.
Yeah.
Two of the best Star Wars canon novels so far.
Her trilogy of novels thus far are by far, I wouldn't say by far, but they're 3 of the top 5 novels in Star Wars.
Honestly, I would rank them that way too, honestly. And she knows this Leia character so well. She obviously did Bloodline, dealing with an older Leia, like 6 years before The Force Awakens, and now she's doing Leia, Princess of Alderaan, which takes place 3 years before A New Hope.
16 years old.
Princess Leia is 16 years old, and a small synopsis of the book, basically, Leia is going to take on these trials in order to become the rightful heir to the throne of Alderaan, while also uncovering the sparks, the beginnings of the rebellion. She's kind of dealing with her feeling very distant from her parents, but she doesn't know why at first. And also, she's dealing with kind of being a loner and an outsider and trying to make new friends.
And her first love.
And discovering her first love, which I'm torn on because of certain things.
It's so interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting because it's completely opposite of what we know.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, that's our non-spoiler thoughts and summary of the book. But we're going to get into spoilers. This is a short spoiler review. We're going to talk about what we liked, what we may have not liked. But Jake, just give them your overall thoughts on the book. Like, what did you think of it?
See, for me, to keep interested in a book, and we're doing audiobooks, so we get to hear the voicing and the kind of the action and whatnot.
I recommend.
Yeah, definitely. Something has to really keep me interested to kind of keep going with it. And I was somewhat bored with this book to begin with.
Okay, I can see that.
As the first kind of couple chapters went by, I started figuring out what they were trying to go for, or what she was trying to go for, I should say, and where they were going with it. And it ended up being one of my favorite books.
Yeah,
it's remarkable what Claudia Gray does with Princess Leia, the character of her, and all of her surroundings. We saw it in Bloodline, older General Leia, and all the characters that are around her. This one, we get to know more about her parents. We get to know about the world around her, who she is as a person, who she is going to become as a person. You think of Princess Leia as always being this high-regarded person in life.
Oh, yeah.
She is not that person in this novel to begin with. She is a young girl who is very confused. Like you said, she's kind of an outsider to a lot of her friends and peers. And Claudia Gray just writes it fantastic. There's so many cool things in here too, like good Easter eggs and good nods to the original trilogy and just cool things going on. The stuff with Tarkin was fantastic. So I really, really enjoyed it. It's definitely a novel that you should pick up, especially if you like Leia.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. I thought, halfway through the novel, I told you this, I thought it was going to end up being my favorite one. And that's big because Bloodline is my favorite one, and it's hard to top Bloodline, and Lords of the Sith is up there
so many good books.
But yeah, it didn't end up being my favorite, but I'm telling you, it's in the top 5. I might have it in that number 5 spot.
See, I have not ranked them yet.
Yeah.
But I would imagine
I just know my top 2
Yeah.
favorite for sure, Bloodline and Lords of the Sith, but I would put this in the top 5. I imagine somewhere around the 5 spot. It is very well written, but you could expect that from Claudia Gray at this point. And she just knows Leia so well. While it is a very different Leia than we know, even in A New Hope, you can still tell it's still Leia.
Yes.
You can tell
the decision she makes,
why she is the way she is. And she kind of puts on this front that she's so strong. In A New Hope, she seems like a very strong character. But it's kind of a front in a way. She is that strong, but she hides her emotions very well. And she shows that in this book. I really dug the parts of the rebellion, finding out how the rebellion formed and how they had to keep it in secret at first, and Leia figuring all that stuff out as we did as a listener or reader. And also the parts about the young adult elements I didn't love necessarily.
As far as the love story goes?
Yeah, well, the love story, I liked it partly because it taught me a little bit more about Leia. But at the same time, it was so weird because, and this is kind of biased because I just can't see her with anyone other than Han Solo. And that's that might be wrong of me.
Well, it's funny because Keir Damadius, who we're talking about in the book, he is the perfect match for her. In every way.
Well, yeah, that's like
way.
the type of guy she should have been with.
He is who she is supposed to be with.
Yeah.
But obviously we know that's not who
and
she
you
ends
remember,
up with.
it's funny because there's a part in the book where her mom's like, every now and then you gotta date a scoundrel or something like that.
It's a cool little Easter egg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I liked her mom in the book.
Oh, I thought both of her parents were used so well.
Yeah, I love Bail Organa as a character overall, but we've never got to spend much time with, I think it's Brea Organa, and I loved that character so much. And overall, really enjoyable. Just a couple of the interactions with the other young students that were going through the apprentice trials or whatever, when like they were going on the hikes and stuff like that, those were the parts where I was like, okay, like let's get through this so we can get to the rebellion stuff. The rebellion stuff was amazing. This is arguably like some of the best stuff in all of Star Wars canon when it comes to the beginnings of the rebellion, in my opinion. Like all the different planets, we see the planet Crate in there, which
it's popping up everywhere.
Which they're doing that comic in after The Last Jedi comes out, and then it's going to be in The Last Jedi. It's that red salt planet, so you know that's going to play a big role. And there was so many little tiny Easter eggs too. You had Wedge in there. You had Tarkin. Tarkin is over in like every canon book. It's crazy.
Well, and you also had the first officer, and it's a very small character, but the first officer in the Phantom Menace. The black guy, he's in this book. I forget his name off the top of my tongue,
awesome.
But he's in this book, and that makes sense because Amidala, you know, it kind of makes sense.
Arguably, my favorite part of the book is when she went to Naboo, and she felt like something weird while she was there.
Yep, and the Force.
She had a connection with. Did she have a connection with? Like, was it a senator or the princess there or the queen?
I think it was the senator. I think it was the senator.
So, and the senator told her, if you ever need a favor, like, I got you, you know? And that was so cool for her to go back to where her mother's really from. That was one of the best parts. But was there anything in this book that you didn't like, Jake?
I already talked about the pacing a little bit here and there for me. I kind of got bored. And for me, I need the kind of action and stuff to ramp up a little bit for me.
It's hard to have action with Leia.
Exactly, and like the Tarkin stuff, like Tarkin novel. That's kind of why I got bored with that novel a little bit because there was a lot of talking back and forth.
Definitely.
But this kept me interested as far as like the intensity going around, as far as the rebellion starting and Tarkin almost finding out.
Oh, that was good. And that dinner scene.
Oh, when they were talking,
and how Brea pretended she was drunk and they had a fight break out. That was awesome. And Mod Mothma,
the way they use the characters in certain scenes, like we keep going back to the positives, but the pacing was probably the big one for me.
I know what you mean.
The love story worked for me, but at points it also didn't work.
Yeah,
because
I was split on it.
Exactly, I was just split on wondering like kind of where they were going with it. We knew that something was going to happen to him by the end of the book.
I knew he was going to die.
Something was going to happen. That it was basically just tipped. Like this guy is just one book only.
Oh yeah.
And so it was almost like, why would you use him then?
But I think it was necessary because Han Solo shouldn't be the only guy she ever been with, the only guy she ever loved. Like, that shouldn't be the case. So it fleshed out Leia even more to know that she had a love. And that's why she has her guard up all the time because and they even say at the end of the book, she's like, I'm not going to fall in love until after I win this fight with the rebellion. But we all know she does.
Well, she holds that for a movie and a half until the middle
she finally
of the Empire
breaks
Strikes Back.
Because she can't resist. But, overall, I think it's a great book. It's one of the better canon books. Just a few of those young adult elements where she's hanging out with all the other kids. I could have lived without that stuff. It kind of felt like two separate books to me.
Well, and that's funny because Lost Stars was very much a young adult book, and then Bloodline was an adult book. So she was basically
it was kind of a mixture of both.
Yes.
And it did work to a certain extent because you had to see Leia as a young girl and how she interacted with other young people. But I could have lived without those things. But overall, I love this book,
like
honestly.
The young adult aspects didn't take me out of the book completely.
No, they weren't bad.
Claudia Gray is just such a good writer when she focuses on one part rather than going back and forth.
I wouldn't say they're bad. I just didn't care as much about them as I cared about the rebellion stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I would have to sit down and rank them, like sit down and write them all down, but I rank this definitely in my top 5.
I agree, and this is actually a book that, after 6, 8, a year 6 to 8 months and then a year, I would end up going back to it. I would
definitely
love to read this
because there's so
again.
many details.
Yeah,
in there.
and it's so interesting, and I know that as I get by the stuff that isn't as interesting I think it would be, I know there's good stuff in there that I'm like, oh, I love listening.
It's funny
to
because
this.
there's stuff that tie into the prequels, there's stuff that tie into the original trilogy, and there's stuff that have implications in the new trilogy. So
well, it's basically from the beginning of Revenge of the Sith to the Force Awakens. It's dead center.
Yeah.
15 years and then 15 years on the back
So
end.
I consider this a must read. Or
Yo,
must
I agree.
Listen,
Completely
definitely.
agree. It's a very, very enjoyable book.
Cool. All right. Well, that wraps up our short thoughts on Leia, Princess of Alderaan. I'm Jacob Bartley. You can find me on Twitter at @JacobBartley_. Thanks for joining me on this discussion.
Always
Jake.
love talking Star Wars.
Of course,
Jake Blinn on Twitter and Instagram at Qui-Gon Jake. Check out the Padawan podcast.
Yes, the Padawan podcast, our all Star Wars podcast. If you love this, you'll love the Padawan podcast. Thank you all again for watching. Until next time, take care.